This stock just released massive news confirming crucial rumors, and it's up over 10% on the day of the announcement. However, it is not too late because it is down over 60% from previous highs, and Wall Street hasn't even factored in this announcement into their projections. We're talking about a high growth stock under a $1 billion market cap that just launched a platform that could soon generate over $500 million in revenue in the coming years. Let's do it. What is going on, everybody? My name is Matthew, and today we are talking all things PLBY Group, ticker PLBY. Yes, this is the company formerly known as PLBY and is undergoing a lot of rebranding and repositioning as a company. However, I understand that it is not a stock for everyone. I will highlight that they've grown their female audience by over 80%, and now the majority, 55% of PLBY customers are women. 90% of their audience is actually under the age of 40, and they've also discontinued their print magazine as of 2020. They're now trying to start body positive conversations as well as change their messaging for the better. I understand they may be a challenging brand, but this news is simply too big not to speak about from an investment perspective. With that said, give me the format. First, what is this game-changing news from September 21st that was just announced? Second, we'll talk about potential revenue, profitability, and impact on their valuation. And third, we'll talk about what I'm personally doing with PLBY stock. Now, it's no secret that a lot of people holding this stock are underwater, which is why it was so exciting to see this announcement from just 36 hours before I'm recording this video. They are launching a platform called Centerfold, a competitor to OnlyFans. Centerfold is a creator-led digital platform dedicated to creative freedom, artistic expression, and sex positivity. It's expected to roll out within the coming months, and PLBY says it builds upon their history of passing the mic to the most revolutionary voices of our day. And what's rather interesting is where they mention that they will arm their creators with access to content production, merch capabilities, and actually blockchain integration. This is something I hinted at about 3 weeks ago now on my previous PLBY video based on speculation from a couple of job postings. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. But I do want to emphasize that this is still just that, speculation. There's a reason this stock only takes up 1 to 3% of my portfolio at any given time. It's riskier, it's more speculative, and it very much hinges on execution from management. As mentioned in my first PLBY video, this company probably has 10 plus ways that it can actually win and yield returns for us investors and improve as a business. So check that video out if you haven't already. But although it has a great roadmap, it is yet to execute 100% on a lot of those initiatives. So I'm not saying it's time to absolutely load the boat yet. However, it is looking pretty darn compelling at first glance. And at the end of the video, again, I'm going to share what I'll be doing exactly. And now's the time where we should probably start looking at the financials, competitors, and see if we can't make a bit of a projection or guesstimate or educated guess on where this could take the stock. If we want to make examples right now for Centerfold, the best we can really do is look at OnlyFans as an example of what could be accomplished. Of course, we do hope to hear more from PLBY management soon and more details and projections from them specifically, but for now, according to leaked financials from Axios, OnlyFans is expected to finish 2021 with $1.2 billion in revenue, and they are projected to do $2.5 billion in 2022, representing over 100% revenue growth. This is expected to then translate into $620 million in free cash flow in 2021 and a whopping $1.2 billion in free cash flow for 2022. In other words, all the revenue they are expected to generate in 2021 is equivalent to their expected free cash flow for the very next year. That is insane. And yes, these could just be very lofty projections from OnlyFans themselves, but there is something to be said about their operating leverage and the margins of their business model. In 2020, the company reportedly generated $400 million in revenue and expected to walk away with $300 million in EBITDA, implying an incredible 75% EBITDA margin. And if you don't know what that means, it just means it's extremely, extremely profitable. And honestly, I'm a bit skeptical that it's that high, but you get the idea. Now with these numbers, we're able to do a bit of napkin math for Centerfold, and these are not really projections. It's more like this is what we could reasonably expect. This is a ballpark range, but obviously as we get more information, any projections or estimates will either be more refined or straight up given to us by PLBY. So with that said, yes, this is a bit crude, but let's get into it. Analysts expect PLBY to reach $233 million in revenue for 2021. So this line is going to be revenue in millions, and this is gross margin, a little bit of a typo there, but this is gross margin based on historicals and estimates, and gross profit just for fun. You can keep going into EBITDA, profitability, net income, all that stuff, but for now we're going to keep it simple for the sake of this video. So in 2022, they're expected to do $336 million in revenue. And this number is before any mention of Centerfold being launched. Now, if PLBY can capture just 10% worth of OnlyFans revenue for 2021, which again is expected to be $1.2 billion, that means PLBY's revenue would increase by $120 million. And that would put 2022's expected revenues closer to $450 million if you simply add these two together. The current expected plus what could happen with Centerfold. And just for fun, I also added some gross margin numbers in here as well. You can see that in the previous 3 quarters, their gross profit ratio has been about 51 to 52%. So I went ahead and put that in right here at 51%. Let's say it gets a little better in 2022. And then I think that Centerfold is going to be a very high margin business for them because it's primarily software and technology. And assuming high operating leverage, it'll probably get a lot better into 2025. And that's the next place we're going to be going with this. So that's where it gets really, really crazy. 2025, PLBY is expected to do $600 million in revenue. And if they're able to execute on Centerfold and gain just 35% of OnlyFans 2021 estimated revenue, or $420 million, I do not think that should actually be a problem. And if you add these two together, PLBY's expected revenue for 2025 as of today, plus if they're able to capture 35% of what OnlyFans can do today, if they can do that 4 years from now, that adds up to be over $1 billion in revenue for PLBY by 2025. So in this completely hypothetical scenario with a $1 billion revenue company, if we slap on a price to sales ratio of 3, which is really not that crazy for a diversified, most likely very profitable at that point, and high growth company, and you'll get a market cap of over $3 billion for a company that is trading at less than $1 billion today. Now, a 3x over a 4-year period gives us a compound annual growth rate or average annual return of 31%, which should very easily destroy the market. Now, again, this is all hypothetical. This 10% and 35% are completely arbitrary, so do not take this as certain. The only reason I did 10% and 35% is because I think it's honestly within reason. It's logical. It's not a lofty expectation. 10% should be achievable with the talent and the connections that PLBY has in this area of the industry, and I think it's very, very possible for them to achieve. This is also based on very brief details given in their announcement post, and where I would encourage you to plug in some of your own numbers. Maybe you think they're only going to do 5% and only 20% of what OnlyFans did in 2021 by the time we hit 2022 and 2025. Maybe you think they're going to do even more and that you're even more bullish on this company. And truth be told, with PLBY's management very focused on growth via acquisition, we actually don't have a perfect clear idea of what PLBY will look like in 4 years, which also makes making projections very tricky. Nonetheless, I believe Centerfold is clearly great news for the business and investors, and it will be a net positive from here on out, and it might be one of the catalysts we need to get PLBY back on track. Now finally, what will I be doing with my own position in PLBY? If it interests you, you can actually see every single trade I make in real time with my reasoning, as well as 24/7 access to my portfolio, live research, and also weekly live lessons taught by our incredible mentors. Just check out Investor Community linked down below if you'd like. Our mentors are Nick, who's beaten the market 5 out of the past 5 years and is also a full-time wealth management performance analyst, and Kevin, who's beaten the market 4 out of the past 5 years as a full-time short-term trader. Both are incredibly difficult to do. They teach members of our community every single week, and you can see some of their clips on Investor Community website as well. Again, That'll be down below. But anyways, it is probably no surprise after this video that I will be buying more shares of PLBY. And that is because right now I believe it's sitting at 1.8 to maybe 2% of my portfolio. And with this news, I have greater conviction in the company, and the stock price has also fallen 60% from recent highs, which in my personal opinion makes it less risky because I do believe in the underlying fundamentals. So I will be buying more, and I will allow it to take up maybe even 3% of my portfolio. I was considering selling a put on this stock, which means that I could collect premium as I wait for the stock to reach a certain price and then buy it, but I would have to buy 100 shares worth. The other risk with this is that if PLBY never drops to the strike price of my put, I could miss out and it could run away before I get to buy more shares. So I think the safer bet in this case, where I believe the catalyst will cause the stock to move relatively quickly, I'm probably just going to buy shares over the next week or so. I'm comfortable averaging down on this company as long as it's under a $1 billion market cap. Just remember to practice proper risk management, position sizing, and always do your own due diligence. Also remember that PLBY went to $60 per share on NFT hype alone. And in my opinion, this news is so much bigger than the NFTs, and the stock is at $24 per share. If you found any value in this video, and I hope you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the quote of the day. You might just learn something. Make sure to follow me on Instagram for daily posts about my portfolio, stocks I'm watching, and all that good stuff. And check out investor community down below if you'd like to become an independent investor. If you're watching this point in the video, you are the real MVP. Don't forget your peace and thank yous.